All right. We're going to back up. Apparently there was no sound. Thank you all for everybody there. Matt Helmer, Sloss Boss, Ridiculous. Thank you guys. So I should go back and give our sponsor read again to make sure I don't shortchange anybody. And then we'll get into the rest of the stuff I was talking about. I want to remind you that we're sponsored by the North Shore Tavern. You don't have to be a baseball fan to love it there. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day at the North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. It was a place to commiserate yesterday. Certainly a very winnable game for the Pirates. A lot of this came down to Derek Shelton, right? I was watching this, the late inning stuff unfold. I don't have any problem bringing Colin Holderman into the game. And I'm just going to go right to the meat and potatoes here. I'm fine with bringing him into the game, but as that inning progressed, you have Jalen Beeks. You have him there for a reason. He's been really good against left-handers. You have a left-hander in Jock Peterson coming up in a key moment. Now, I don't think Jock Peterson's going to actually hit there. So, I mean, that's a key thing to understand. Torey Lovullo's probably going to pinch hit him. His OPS, had this in my notes from yesterday. Jock was OPS of 936 against right-handed pitching, goes down to 760 against lefties. You've got a lefty there. You're probably bringing in Randall Grichuk, the best pinch hitter in the National League, or Lourdes Gurriel Jr. That could be another option. But at the same time, you're looking at, do I want that matchup, or do I want Jock Peterson facing somebody against whom he has a 936 OPS? And, oh, by the way, Colin Holderman has struggled mightily. Like, his numbers have not been good. I think after that outing, 12 earned runs over his previous 14 in the third innings. I'm sorry, I don't want that. I don't want that. And I guess if it's a complete no-fly zone with Jalen Beeks and even Aroldis Chapman, you stay with it. But why? Why is it? Why does it have to be a no-fly zone? That's what I don't understand. You're paying Aroldis Chapman $10.5 million. Maybe the move was him there. I'm certainly fine with it being Beeks. And again, the eighth inning, who's going to pitch that? Now, I think the way Shelton probably scripted that out was you have Holderman and then Kyle Nicholas and then David Bednar. That would be my guess. We'll never know, but that's if I'm going to speculate. Now, at the same, I just hate stuff like that where, you're a reliever making $10.5 million. You could pitch 3 days in a row. You're also going into an off day. Maybe that's Shelton. Maybe it's not. I'm sorry. I hate everything around that. But operating inside of that, Jalen Beeks was clearly well enough to throw because then he throws the next inning. Why didn't you throw him earlier? Why didn't you use him against Jock Peterson? I didn't understand Shelton's explanation after the game. I don't think anybody else did. And also Noah Hiles and Andrew Destin got into a lot of this after last night's, in their post-game videos. I'm not going to beat that down, but I do want to highlight some things. And like the Isaiah Kiner Falefa bunt, I didn't understand that call. Because, well, I don't think there's anybody on the Pirates team, maybe outside of Brian Reynolds, who handles the bat as well as Kiner Falefa does. He's a great contact guy. I wrote this in my column. His strikeout rate's 13.4%. Trust him to get the job done. Double and triple earlier in the game. I don't like giving up the out. You've got 3 outs left. Why give one of them up? If that's in the 7th inning, I guess I get it. Trying to get a lead, something like that. Maybe in the 8th. No way in the 9th. I'm not doing that. So anyway, I didn't understand that. There's where he gets the bunt down with the wheel play on. I don't think that's as important. You are a major league hitter. If a bunt is called for, you need to get it down. But at the same time, we can look at this, and Michael A. Taylor's had these issues. Yasmani Grandala's had these issues. The Pirates have to be able to get bunts down. I'm sort of stating the obvious, but I don't understand why they can't do it. Shouldn't be that hard. All right, I'm going to take a short break on that. I want to tweet out this link. We're going to get to some questions that you guys have. Oh, that's a good one. JS. Jason, you have to show some respect to Shelty. He was doing what was best for the team. Is that sarcasm? I know you can't answer, Jay, but yeah, I don't know if he was doing what's best for the team. I'm confused by that. Tweeted out the link, and let me take a short break here and just deliver the sponsor message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. I certainly don't want to miss that. We appreciate all of their business. So bear with me on that. I'll be back and talk to you on the other side of that.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
All right, we are back live, First 10. Thank you all very much. Going to get back to the comments section here. We'll work through a few of those. Why does Shelton continue to use Holderman in high leverage situations? He has been leaking oil for a while. Valid points, Lost Boss. I get it. I think what is going through Shelton's mind there, he wants it to work out with Holderman. He's giving him reps. Also, the other issue, I guess, with yesterday was just the depleted bullpen. They've had, as I mentioned earlier, you had guys pitching on back-to-back days. Holderman was not one of them, and he has to get it done in that spot. But I understand, the itself that Peterson hit out was not a bad pitch. 100 miles an hour on the outside. Peterson put a good swing on it. Great. But you can't deny what has happened with Holderman over the last little while. And I'm sorry, you just can't keep going to him. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. I had a bunch of weird feedback in my headphones. Should be good now. But yeah, you just can't keep going in those situations. And stick with him. I think that's again the biggest issue I had there. Like, you start the seventh inning with him, it's not going well. I'm sorry, I'm convinced by the Marte strikeout that he should be finishing that inning. You bring in the lefty. You force Arizona into a decision. If Beeks gets the guy out, great. He can come out of the game. That's the 3-batter rule. You finish the inning, you can come out, and then he's at a short day of work. But you know what? He did his. That's how I would have managed it. If he doesn't, you turn around Josh Bell. It's just, I don't totally understand it. So anyway, we got to that one. 2 missed strike calls on that at bat with Holderman egregiously. Yeah, I mean, I get it. The umpiring in that inning, I think that's what bothered Shelton too. He was, I wrote this, as upset as I've ever seen him after a loss. This was like almost, Jim Leland level emotion. Like you could hear and see him kind of getting choked up. And I don't blame him. Like it's a frustrating one. If I was in that position, I'd be frustrated too. I have to imagine he's probably frustrated at himself. None of those guys go out there wanting to lose or make the wrong decisions. I do wish sometimes that Shelty would take a little bit more ownership of things. I think that would carry weight with fans. I've gotten to know him quite a bit, and I think he's a pretty decent person. I also look at what is out there for public consumption. And, if he would have sat in front of the camera and say, you know what, I made the wrong move. I should have gone to another reliever earlier, something like that. I don't think there would be sort of uproar. At the same time, he might be trying to protect his player, Colin Holderman, and that's fine, but I don't think he did that. That's another, reason this whole, game was kind of disjointed, because what he said wasn't protecting Colin Holderman. He said a lot like Holdy's got to be better, and if anything, he threw Holderman under the bus. So forget about that. But yeah, it was just an interesting post game with Shelty. I've never seen him like that. But I will say this about the Pirates right now. And this is coming from somebody who was on this beat for, a long time when they were bad and saw the whole rebuild. It is fun to see people getting this upset about things. I know that's probably sideways of where anybody is at right now. You're mad and they lost 2 of 3 and they should have won 2 of 3 against Arizona in some form or fashion. But it is neat to see the place the Pirates have taken in the city sports landscape where, I can sit here and do a live stream the day after a tough loss and we're getting a bunch of questions and people are engaged and reading things. And, they might be reading out of anger, but that's okay. All right, let's get through some more here. Matt Helmer, Jay, come on, Falefa had 2 extra base hits. I'm not disagreeing with you. I would have had him swing away. I don't like the bunt. Good teams can bunt. It's on IKF. What about Cruz not getting runners home from third? He had 2 chances. JS makes that comment. I mean, I get you. I get you. That's, probably didn't talk or write about that enough. They had only 2 innings where they didn't leave at least one runner on base. The 7th and the 8th, or I'm sorry, the 6th and the 7th, you get a 1-out double and you can't do anything with it. That's not just a Sunday problem. That's happened a lot this season. You have to be able to do something. CL, I appreciate the fans' passion that want this team to win so badly. I know. I've told people that for a long time. I usually get the, why don't you do something real, cover a real team, back when I was on the beat. And I would argue with people and say, this is a real team and it's a really good baseball market. And it's just a hacked off baseball market where people want the Pirates to be good. And now the Pirates are showing some signs of being good and people are just, they're upset because they think they can be better. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Paul Skeens pitched yesterday and I thought that Paul was good, not great. He struggled with his command a little bit. It was his shortest outing, I think, since May 6th, something like that. Let me flip back in my game notes here. Didn't go 6 for the first time since June 5th against the Dodgers. Yeah, they should have more wins than they do when Paul starts. Some of the run support they provided him is just not going to work. It's frustrating because they're right there. And this was a big series for them. The last Arizona series was big for them. They're not going to win every series, but you would like to see them win series or in situations where it makes sense. You're going to lose 1 of 3 to the Diamondbacks. I get that. I thought, in the totality of, look at Saturday, whatever, Fridays, whatever, they had a lousy start. They couldn't, the hole was too big. They did climb out of it. The bullpen couldn't handle it. Chapman throws 103 on the outside. Bell takes that, whatever. It stinks, but it's baseball. Get over it. They win the next night. Here we are Sunday. You have a chance to win the series. Paul Skeens on the mound. You have to take advantage of that. You just do. And they didn't. And they made things worse. And now things, their schedule ahead is not easy. You've got the Padres in for 3. Go to LA. Go to San Diego. It's just they need to keep winning to stay in it. I do worry a little bit, not to belabor the Pirates here, guys. I know that we have some other things I want to get to and with Steelers and Penguins, but it is something that is timely, and that seems to be what the questions are about. And I'm good talking about it. I just don't want to crush it. But the bullpen, worries me a little bit too. What happens with Holderman? I've liked Beeks. Chapman's been better. I've heard some frustration over Bednar at the same time. What is he at? 19 straight, 20 saves. I think 19 straight now, 4th longest streak in MLB. Majinski, when he gets back, that's going to be an important part. I thought Kyle Nicholas has pitched better, but it's a little more wobbly than I would like at this point. So, all right, what else do we got? How's Majinski? That's another one. I honestly was not there for Todd Tomzik. I think I would refer to you guys to Andrew Destin's story on our website. He has that covered. I'm sure there was a Majinski update in there. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about the Penguins, some stuff that I was working on, mainly because we haven't heard a lot about Sidney Crosby's contract, and I and other people are starting to wonder what the heck is going on with Sidney Crosby's contract. Should we be worried? I've been asked that a few times, and it is fairly easy to, my answer early on was, come on, it's Sid. What are we talking about here? He's not going anywhere. And truth be told, that's where I'm at still with this. I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't see any world where Sidney Crosby is not a Penguin. That makes zero sense. At the same time, we're sitting here on August 5th, and the first day he could sign an extension was July 1st. So why have we missed a month plus? Some of it's timing, people being away, maybe not an urgency. Honestly, the conspiracy theorist in me, look at the calendar. We're 2 days away from August 7th. At this point, why don't you just do that? I had a conversation with somebody with the Penguins around development camp, and that was agreed upon as something that would be a neat little thing. Makes a lot of sense. And I fully expect Wednesday to get some news on Crosby's extension. I don't know if that'll mean, Sid's in Cranberry and talks or anything like that. But if you think about this situation, okay, let me wind back. Think about what they did down the stretch. They started to play the way they were supposed to play. And I remember talking to Sid at locker cleanout day about the optimism that surrounded them. I mean, it obviously sucked that they didn't get in, but what they were able to find and hoping to carry it over to next year. Well, Erik Karlsson's under contract. Chris Letang's under contract. Evgeny Malkin's under contract. A lot of people are under contract, which is the issue for the Penguins. A lot of guys are under contract, no movement clauses, and there's really not all that much they can do to tweak or change the roster. So given what we know about Sidney Crosby, is he really going to turn away from that? Is he really going to say, yeah, Gino, Tanger, you're here. I'm out. Can't do it. Maybe if they all agreed to blow it up and say, you know what, last couple years, you guys find your own thing. It's the best thing for us to rebuild. See you later. Thanks for the service. I'm sorry, I don't see that happening. That does not make any sense to me. The most logical outcome was and remains Sidney Crosby remaining a Penguin. And it's just, at this point, it's just timing. Sid has played for $8.7 million. I think it would be a terrific coda to his career to sign on 8.7. Who knows if that is for $8.7 million? I don't know. It would be funny if it was. I'm not particularly worried about the money in this case. And honestly, if you look at the Penguins roster right now, Sidney Crosby's not the problem. He's the solution. You can get upset about where the Penguins are at. That's a valid concern. You can think that the Penguins are in a bad spot. But are they best served by having Sidney Crosby on the roster? Of course they are. He had 94 points last season. He had a 40-goal season, 42 to be specific. I mean, he's their best player. He is to be a quality athlete, entrenched in the city, etc. He's the most ritualistic, habitual athlete ever. I was actually telling my boys the other day about some funny Sidney Crosby stories, and I can tell you guys as well. You know about some of this stuff, but I was telling them about a time in Vancouver where I really learned about Sid's very specific way of doing things. And he's taking his tape off after practice, balls it up, throws it in a can. He misses it. So I'm standing there. I'm like, all right, I'm just, pick it up, put it in the trash can, just try to be nice. And he looks at me, he goes, no, I have to do it. I was like, what? No, I have to make it in. So when he throws the tape in the trash can, Sid has to get it in there. You've heard about stuff. And eats a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at a very specific time. What his hat looks like at the end of the season, what his jock strap looks like hanging in his locker. I don't know how it hangs there and just doesn't fall into pieces. Dude likes what he likes, and that's great. And the dude likes Pittsburgh. He likes the Steelers. He likes the Pirates. He genuinely likes our city. That's not a front. He also likes his friends. He thinks he can win there. Why would he go up and run somewhere else? He's not going to. He also likes hockey. I've talked to Sid at length about this too, about how long he wants to play. One of his idols, Steve Yzerman, played until he was 40. Sid, I would argue now, is more productive than Yzerman was at the end of it. I mean, maybe if they win another cup and they feel fulfilled and other guys are walking away, maybe he walks away with them. I just don't see it happening now where Sid, packs it in and says, you know what, see you later. I'm out. I don't want to do this. I'm going to go try my hand with the Vegas Golden Knights next year. I don't know. Keep in mind, he is signed through next season. So it's not like they have to do anything, but it would just be really odd if they didn't. And again, why I'm expecting on August 7th, Wednesday, for something to come to fruition. So, all right, let's bounce back. We can, any questions here, guys, feel free to fire away in the comment section. I'll be checking that as much as possible. What else do we have? We had some position battles I was going to get into Steelers training camp. I thought that was interesting. Drop a line in the comment section. What do you guys think? What has been the most interesting position battle So far, anything that's not cleared up, I don't want to say that I'm worrying about the quarterback situation, because I'm not. Still don't need to see anything from Russell Wilson on August 5th. I've been largely impressed by Justin Fields. I'm heading out there tomorrow. Looking forward to watching a little bit tomorrow. The Steelers are off today, of course. But as far as Fields, Wilson, I still think Russell Wilson's going to be the guy. I do. I think that's why they brought him in here. I don't think they're asking too much of him. I think once he gets back on the field, they should have an effective running game for him. Really like Arthur Smith's offense. So again, I still see this going Russell Wilson probably at least the first 4 weeks. If he plays well, he's going to stay in there. But maybe beyond this year, who knows? Justin Fields has been impressive. He's got a nice chemistry with George Pickens. Read that in Ray Fittipaldo's story. From my occasionally out there eyes, I see Pickens making some impressive plays. I did not know that they had a little bit of a history there, and Ray included that. I think it was Ray in his story today. But yeah, I mean, some impressive quarterback play. I'm not sure as much of a battle as maybe other places. If I'm going to answer the question, I would say wide receiver has been my most interesting battle to watch. I think Van Jefferson probably isn't getting enough credit for what I think he can do to help this offense. And also watching the offense, I'm not sure if Pat Freiermuth isn't the number 2 wide receiver. I think they're going to use tight ends a lot. Broderick Jones has been involved more in routes. Connor Hayward has been a factor as well. But add Jefferson into that mix. Quez Watkins really hasn't done a lot. Roman Wilson's been injured. But Van Jefferson, I didn't expect to see the level of performance that we've seen from him. It's been quite impressive. What do we got? Joe R. says, Zani versus Pickens is the battle that will bring the highest return. What a great comment. What a great comment. That's an interesting one. I love it, by the way. I wrote about this last week. The Azzani thing. Zach Azzani is the wide receivers coach, for anybody who doesn't know that. I believe it was they started on a Thursday. This was Saturday, something. It was very early on in camp, put it that way. Gets in George Pickens' face. George Pickens doesn't like it. They go at it. Whatever. I have not seen a moment between the two of them since that. And good for Zach Azzani for coaching a player aggressively. And Pickens is yapping about it. And Pickens has yapped about things, and I'm not condoning it. But I'm saying you might have a blow up there. It sets the tone that says this will not be tolerated. And so good on the coach for handling that. We'll see if that continues. I mean, nobody here doubts George Pickens' ability as a pass catcher. You probably doubt his ability to keep a cool head on the sideline, which is a fair criticism. But how are you going to go about doing that? And I like what Zach Azzani did. And good comment, Joe. I like that about that's the battle that will yield the highest return. No issue there. JS says rooting for Beanie Bishop. I am too. I like the story. I love you see an undrafted guy. I'm always too small to play in the NFL. Well, so far Beanie Bishop's been just fine. He had a great line too a couple of days ago. He said something about the angry little guys, something Mike Tomlin calls them. So great. Be an angry little guy. Mike Hilton was an angry little guy, and that worked out just fine for the Steelers. I like that a lot. Luke Nessie says Pat isn't fast enough to create separation consistently as a number 2. I'm not saying he's going to line up out wide. What I'm saying is the tight ends have been a much bigger factor in Arthur Smith's offense so far. They really have. Every single day we're out there, and unless they're intentionally doing team portions that emphasize tight end play, which I highly doubt, and even if they are, that tells me that's something that they want, sort of in ship shape for the regular season. Look at everywhere Arthur Smith has been. Tight ends have been a huge part of that. It's been the same thing at Steelers. I think they're going to extend Freiermuth, and I think that they're going to do that for a reason. I don't expect Pat to run a 4-4. I don't need him to run a 4-4. I need him to move the chains, get open over the middle, create some separation for other guys, and give Russell Wilson or Justin Fields a high percentage option. So I'm not taking issue with you, Luke. I understand. I want to further clarify my point there. Matt Helmer says the Steelers have to pound the rock to be successful. Yeah, they do. That's absolutely true. And that's one reason why I think, that Russell Wilson keeps this job. Honestly, like the Steelers, if the ideal scenario for the Steelers plays out, they're running the ball effectively. Their offensive line is very physical. They're not asking Russell Wilson to throw it 35, 40 times a game. They're controlling the clock. Najee Harris and Jalen Warner both putting up pretty good numbers. They take shots downfield when they want to. They're working off of play action. They should be able to do that and get George Pickens open. Teams should not be able to sit back, because in that case, just run it down their throats. I mean, they very much should be multiple. And so, I think there have been a lot of things we're seeing this camp that the Steelers have lacked previously. Maybe it's physicality. Maybe it's intent. Early on, a lot of guys were talking about liking the why behind things. It's almost like they understand why Arthur Smith is asking them to do certain things, and they're engaged with it. Like seemingly and legitimately enjoying his offense and what they're doing. It's been very, very encouraging. I'm going to grab some water so I don't choke on you guys. But it's been really encouraging to see, frankly. All of Steelers camp has been that way. I'm looking forward to getting out there tomorrow. One other characteristic, and Brian wrote about this for Sunday's paper. If you haven't read that, please do. About the physicality that Mike Tomlin has created. What do you guys think about that? Drop me a line. We'll get to that in the comments together. But this, I've thought round and round about how I feel about the fights, the physicality, the being ticked off, and I'll admit, my first reaction was like, this is ridiculous. Are you kidding me? What are you guys doing? Like, you're fighting with each other. How's this productive? And then I started thinking about it more and what you would want to see and what sort of environment is being created, why it's being created, whether this might be good, whether this is indeed a bad thing. And I thought Brian touched on a lot of that stuff well. I mean, this is Mike Tomlin putting people in position, iron sharpening iron, if you want to say it that way, but basically putting people in position to compete, to want something, to bring out a physical edge, to learn how to hone that. I talked to Pat Fryermuth about this the other day. He's like, we know that if we get into a fight in a game, we're going to get kicked out. We can't do that. This is all about sort of learning to control that, learning to harness that. There's a time and place for it, I guess. And it does seem to turn off. They go at each other, and then it's good after practice. So the physicality has been another takeaway for me from over at Steelers camp. JS says, I think Tomlin is too tough on the team in this day and age. He needs to lighten up. What has being physical gotten them? This is a finesse league. Oh, come on. Come on, Jay. We hear too often that things are too soft, that they need to be more physical. I will respectfully disagree with you. I appreciate the engagement, so I'm not actually getting angry. I would disagree. I think being physical is a good thing. I don't see how it can be a bad thing. This is football. It's not golf. It's not chess. It's not even baseball. Like, there is an element of physicality here, and I like what the Steelers are doing. This is almost like starting pitching in baseball to me. Like, if we find a team that's being overly physical, that's a problem I want to have as a coach. Like, oh man, my guys they want to hit too many people. That's the sport. Let's get there first. That would be my argument. The healthiest battle might be Peyton Wilson versus Landon Roberts. That's from Joe R. Yes and no. Landon Roberts is going to play. He's going to play a lot. He's an important part of that defense. Now, is Peyton Wilson going to be a factor? Everything we've seen up until now, yeah, I think he's going to be. I still can't believe they got this kid in the third round. I really can't. So talented. If he's healthy, my goodness, I can absolutely see them getting him in there in sub packages. And who knows what happens with the Landon Roberts, down the road. Like, he's not a young guy, at least, football standard wise. They're all young guys, but getting Peyton Wilson more involved in this defense, I think you're going to see maybe in preseason games. I think it's going to happen in the regular season. I think he's talented enough to do that. You're going to pick spots with him. He's very good in pass coverage. And we'll see how his role grows beyond that. But, I mean, you're not going to keep him in a backup role forever. I think he's a better player than that, but he's been looking good so far. What else do we got? We've a couple other ones. Matt Helmer says Harris and Warren could have breakout seasons under the new offensive coordinator. I agree with you. Jaylen Warren's a character. I think I might write about him tomorrow. We'll see. I've got some stuff sitting there just about his habits and how he goes about things, and talked to him the last time I was up at Latrobe. I haven't written this, but just about how he hates letting any one thing slip. And that's why he keeps his helmet on at all times. He refuses to give in to any habit because he's fearful of when that might take over or go a different way. And I can get that. I understand where he's coming from on that, but I love his running style. So any more questions, y'all feel free to fire them in here. We're going to wrap up just a couple more minutes of our live stream. Thanks so much for doing this, for jumping on. We'll perfect these as time goes on. The goal is to kind of do, about 30 minutes a clip, something like that. Talk about a couple different things. Again, we'll cut and trim the format, and if you have any suggestions, by all means, it's for you guys. So want to do that, want to have it reactionary, want to have it conversational, that sort of thing. But I thought, with the way the Pirates game went yesterday, this would be a good time to talk about all of it. And it's just, I needed to vent. I'm sure you needed to vent. There's some other Steelers storylines we can get into. Big week, hopefully, for the Penguins. I hope the Pirates can get this thing figured out. I really do. I mean, they're so likable. They really are. Like, I know that I say that and you're like, yeah, well, Shelton drove me crazy. Yes, I get that. But, think about the pitching they have and the way they can win games. Before yesterday's game, the conversation around this team was, think about how dangerous they're going to be. Jared Jones gets back and you have Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller. That's still true. That's still very much true. I think they might have avoided a bullet yesterday with Andrew McCutchen well enough to pinch hit. Hopefully his hamstring is not, or his quad, I'm sorry, his left quad is not bad enough to keep him out, missing any time. I've liked what Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has done so far. I tweeted this out during the game yesterday. Yasmani Grandal, by the way, has been pretty darn good in a backup role. But you've got Bart, Grandal, that's a major question being answered. Michael A. Taylor has looked better in center field, had almost a 900 OPS in July. That's something to look for as well. Later this week, I'm going to get into some stuff that went on with Taylor. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot to like about this team. It would be a shame to have it all crumbling down over, late game pitching decisions or a lack of execution or guys slumping at the wrong time or whatever. We've seen how alive this city can come with the Pirates when they're doing well. They're already the hot ticket in town, as they should be. My time on the Pirates beat, I've not seen a summer where Pirate season has gone on this long with people caring about it, even more so than the Steelers. It has informed my coverage. It's like, I'm never going to not cover the Steelers, but right now, if the Pirates are home, it's in my best interest. It's in the PG's best interest for me to be there because people are reading it. You guys care. And we should go where we should be covering what you want us to cover, right? You're paying the freight, or, at least a part of the freight. So anyway, I'm blabbing, but thank you very much. Just explaining a little bit about thought process behind that. We will get to more of that later on. We do first 10 every day. It's normally a lot quicker than this, so you can get that in 10-minute daily doses. Usually posts around 10 a.m. in the morning. We'll be back with a normal one of those tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get more of this content and other stuff from our Post-Gazette writers and reporters. Be back. Talk to you tomorrow.